The first juror has been seated in the trial of Derek Chauvin. Now, Chauvin is the former Minneapolis police officer charged with killing George Floyd. Jury selection started today after being delayed yesterday. Our Alex Perez joins us live outside the courthouse in Minneapolis with the latest. Alex, what do we know about this first juror so far?
Well, Diane, we know that jurors' identities will remain secret, but there are a few things we know about this first juror that was seated this morning. We know he's a white male in his 20s to 30s. He says he works as a chemist. He also says he supports the Black Lives Matter movement, but has some problems with the organization itself. He says he has an unfavorable view of the pro-police movement, Blue Lives Matter. He also says he has not seen that gut-wrenching video with Chauvin on top of Floyd. He said he's seen some still images of that video, but he has not seen the video itself. So he is the first juror to be seated. There are a total of 18 people who have been dismissed, 16 that didn't even make it past the questionnaire process, and 2 dismissed in court today. So it will be a lengthy process to fill this jury. They need 12 alternates, 12 jurors and 4 alternates. But the judge believes that it's possible, and he's dedicated time every day to go through this process, about 3 weeks until they are able to fully seat the jury. Diane?
Yeah, no doubt a challenge to find jurors who are impartial to a case that's gotten so much attention globally, really, around the world. Now, Alex, selection was delayed yesterday because attorneys are arguing over this additional third-degree murder charge. Where does that debate stand right now? Will the charge be added or not?
Well, Diane, that's a good question, and all of that sort of remains in a legal limbo right now. There are 2 separate things that are outstanding. There's a Court of Appeals review that's outstanding and a petition, a motion that has been sent over to the Supreme Court. Neither of them, the Minnesota Supreme Court, neither of them have responded, and at this point, it remains unclear when either of them will step up and say something about the motions before them. But the judge in this case says he will continue to move forward until someone tells him not to, until a higher court tells him not to. So for now, that charge has not officially been re-added, but the process of jury selection will continue. But once those courts make a decision, there is the possibility that all of this could come to a halt until that's resolved. Diane?
All right, Alex Perez, thank you for that.
Alex, thanks very much for that. Joining us now for more on this important trial, the trial of Derek Chauvin, is ABC News legal analyst and The View co-host Sunny Hostin. And Sunny, as a former prosecutor, I'm going to call on your experience there. We just heard Alex and Diane talking about the challenges in jury selection in a trial where there's so much publicity and so much intense feeling around it. As a former prosecutor, what challenges do you see, and how will the court handle them?
I think it's certainly very challenging to find someone that has never seen the video, who doesn't have any preconceived opinions about what happened, because, as Diane mentioned, everyone has seen this video. This is something that has gotten global attention. And the way that they're handling this is a bit different. We're talking about a 16-page juror questionnaire that has been sent out. That is not a typical jury selection thing that happens in most cases. And when you look at some of the questions, Terry, that were asked, they really are getting at the meat of the matter. One of the questions: have you ever watched videos of George Floyd's death? Have you ever talked about George Floyd's death with your family, friends, co-workers, or discussed it online? Did you or someone else close to you participate in any of the demonstrations or marches against police brutality that took place in Minneapolis, where we know the crime occurred? If you participated, did you carry a sign? And if you carried a sign, what did it say? That tells you, that jury questionnaire and the pointed questions, Terry, what the stakes are, how high they are, and the type of information that they're trying to elicit from these jurors. They want someone not necessarily that has lived under a rock, someone that hasn't seen anything, someone that hasn't talked about it, but someone that has seen these things, has discussed it, but that can still come to an impartial decision based just on the facts of the case.
And Sunny, from the defense's comments today, it seems pretty clear they intend to raise questions about the cause of George Floyd's death. How crucial is that going to be to this case? And what do you think the arguments will be on both sides?
Diane, I think that's going to be crucial because at this point, officer or ex-officer Chauvin has been charged with second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. And prosecutors have to show beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a very high threshold, of course, that Chauvin's actions were a substantial causal factor, not the sole cause of death, or not the specific mechanism of death, but a substantial causal factor. And the second-degree murder charge it opens him up to about 11 years. The second-degree manslaughter, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Officer Chauvin took an unreasonable risk when he restrained him. Now, if you look at that threshold, Diane, if you look at trying to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, the argument for the defense is Officer Chauvin kneeling on the neck of George Floyd for over 9 minutes wasn't the substantial cause of his death. It may have been a factor, but not the substantial cause of his death. So they are going to try to bring in other potential causes of his death, maybe his health history, maybe he was under the influence of any sort of medication that would have led him to asphyxiate, that sort of thing. So I think those are the arguments that we are going to hear coming from prosecutors and from the defense attorneys.
Looking for some reasonable doubt generated in the jury's minds on the defense side. And Sonny, let's take a step back from the trial. This was such a flashpoint moment for our country. George Floyd's death just had a huge impact on the United States, bring the Black Lives Matter to the forefront of our country's debates. Can you get a sense of what the trial of the man who killed him and its results mean for that movement and for our country going forward?
Well, you know, Terry, I think that the question is that our country is going through a racial reckoning right now. And as we've mentioned before, there is no question that his murder, seen on television, on videos all around the world, and not just in this country, has really started a movement, not only in this country and in the world. And the question is, do Black lives really matter too? And people will feel that the answer lies in whether or not they believe justice has been served in this particular case, because this particular case seems to feel that it is the flashpoint. It is the impetus for this renewed civil rights movement. So I do believe that this case is very, very important to the future of race relations in our country.
Sonny Hostin, thanks very much for that. I should correct myself. Derek Chauvin is allegedly the killer of George Floyd. That's what the trial is all about, of course.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.